All right, so today we're diving into the world of Marcus Aurelius.
Aurelius.
But not just the emperor you see on those old coins.
Right.
We're going deeper.
Yeah.
We're talking personal writings, private letters, all that good stuff.
It really is like trying to put a puzzle together, isn't it?
It is.
You get these little glimpses into his inner life, his struggles, how he grew as a person.
Totally. And I think that's what makes this so fascinating, because we always hear about, philosopher emperor Marcus Aurelius.
Right.
But these sources, they show us a real dude
Yes.
with real problems.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine the weight of the entire Roman Empire on your shoulders,
Yeah.
plus family drama. So, like, talk about pressure.
And now that's what I find so interesting about him. You'd think someone who was so into Stoic philosophy would be above it all.
Right.
But Aurelius shows us that's not what it's about. It's not about avoiding the tough stuff in life, but how you deal with it.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from his meditations, which is really cool, because these were never actually meant to be published.
Right.
It's like we're getting a peek into his personal diary, his thoughts on how to live a good life.
Exactly. No need to impress anyone, just his honest thoughts. And that's what makes it so powerful, even today.
Totally. And one of the things that really stands out is this idea of living in harmony with nature. But before you imagine him hugging trees,
Yeah.
it's more about understanding how the universe works.
Yeah.
Right?
Exact. There's a rational order to things.
Like accepting what you can't control and focusing on what you can, your own thoughts and actions.
And that's incredibly relevant even today.
Yeah.
It's basically the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy. The idea that our thoughts directly affect how we feel.
Wow.
Aurelius was way ahead of his time.
Mind blown. So he's also big on this idea of virtue being the ultimate good and vice being the only true evil. But here's where things get a little contradictory, because even though he valued virtue, Aurelius wasn't exactly a fan of early Christians.
Yeah, that's true. At the time, they were seen as a disruptive force.
Really?
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing. There are definitely echoes of Christian thought in Aurelius's writing, especially when it comes to morality and ethics.
So it's like they arrived at similar conclusions.
Exactly, but from totally different starting points.
It's like those what-if moments in history.
Totally.
What if Aurelius had embraced those early Christians instead of seeing them as a threat? How would things be different?
Fascinating.
Right. But let's shift gears a bit before we go too far down that rabbit hole, because his letters with Fronto,
Oh, yeah.
they show us a totally different side of this emperor philosopher.
Totally. From profound thoughts on how to live a virtuous life to complaining about scorpions in his bed.
No way.
Yeah, these letters are so full of life humor, even a little gossip. It just goes to show that even the deepest thinkers are still human.
Okay, hold on. A scorpion in his bed.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Even emperors had pest problems.
Right, and those little moments with Fronto joking about his mother, very relatable.
Totally.
Aurelius cherished his family and friends. He found joy in simple things, and yes, he even got annoyed by everyday stuff.
Just like us.
Exactly. These letters remind us that he had a life outside of being emperor.
And that nickname he had for Fronto, Magnifico. I love it.
Yeah.
You can practically hear them laughing together across the centuries.
I know, it's great.
Speaking of Fronto, it seems like he was quite the mentor.
Oh, absolutely. Fronto was ahead of his time in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He always encouraged Aurelius to use clear and simple language. He warned him about people trying to manipulate him at court and urged him to think for himself.
That's solid advice for anyone, emperor or not. It's so easy to get caught up in the game of power.
It is.
This really highlights how important it is to stay true to yourself no matter what position you hold in life.
And let's not forget, even emperors need guidance. Aurelius, with all his wisdom, still valued Fronto's advice and friendship.
Yeah, that's true.
It shows just how important mentors are in all our lives.
For sure. They challenge us, support us, offer different perspectives that we might not see ourselves. It's a two-way street for sure.
Yeah.
But going back to Aurelius for a second, his letters with Fronto really highlight the bond they had.
It really was more than just student and teacher,
Yeah.
They had a real friendship, they challenged each other, made each other laugh, and that's what made it so special.
And you can totally see that playfulness in their letters.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when Aurelius is talking about those grapes they left on the vine, he called them the high-hanging clusters. It's like,
I love that.
I know, right?
Yay.
Makes you want to grab a bowl of grapes.
It really does. Such a great image. And it reminds us that even with the weight of the world literally on his shoulders, Aurelius still found joy in the little things.
It's true.
Just like that story about him chatting with his mom, wondering what Fronto was up to.
I know, it's those little details that make history come alive.
They do.
He's not just some emperor in a toga anymore.
Exactly.
He's a son, a friend, a guy who loves to chat and eat grapes.
Exactly. A man of depth and complexity, just like all of us.
100%. And we can't forget, he experienced his fair share of sorrow, too.
That's right.
The biography talks about losing his children.
It's heartbreaking.
I can't even imagine. He had
Ugh.
11 children with Faustina.
Yeah, and most of them died so young.
And the biography even quotes a letter where he talks about losing them without solace.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine facing that kind of grief while also running an empire?
It's unimaginable. It really makes you wonder, how did he reconcile those personal tragedies with his Stoic beliefs? Did he ever question fate? Or did he find a way to accept it all as part of some natural order?
It's a question that still resonates with people today
It does.
because we all face loss.
Right.
We all wonder why things happen the way they do.
It's part of what makes us human.
Exactly. But it is interesting to see how even in his grief, Aurelius seemed to find strength in his philosophy.
It shows that Stoicism isn't about becoming numb to your emotions.
Right.
It's not about detaching yourself from life's ups and downs. It's more about finding a way to navigate those experiences with resilience and grace, even when it seems impossible.
So how do we make sense of this emperor who found comfort in philosophy?
I don't know.
The Stoic who also loved to laugh. He seems so full of contradictions,
He does, doesn't he?
which I guess just makes him all the more human.
Exactly. He wasn't some perfect sage. He was just a man trying to figure things out, just like the rest of us.
And maybe that's what makes his story so timeless,
Yeah.
so relatable.
And that's what's so powerful about what he left behind, you know?
His writing.
Yeah, it's like this timeless reminder that we're all in this together.
Totally. It's like if an emperor can stress about family, work-life balance, finding meaning in it all,
Right?
then we're probably doing all right.
Exactly. We all have those days when it feels like the weight of the world is on our shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's just our own little corner of it. But Aurelius shows us that we have a choice in how we react.
We do.
Yeah.
It's not about pretending the hard stuff isn't there, but finding a way to deal with it.
Right. Like he said, we all have that inner citadel.
That source of strength that no one can take away.
And it's something we can cultivate. We can build it up through things like Stoicism.
Which, let's be real, can sound kind of intimidating.
I get it.
But then you read these letters with Fronto,
Yeah.
and you realize it's not about being this, emotionless robot.
No, not at all.
Aurelius clearly loved to laugh, loved a good, juicy story. He was human.
Exactly. And that's what makes his insights so relatable. He wasn't just some detached philosopher. He was right there with us, trying to figure it all out as he went.
And honestly, that might be the most important thing we take away from all of this.
What do you mean?
Well, it's easy to put historical figures up on a pedestal,
Right.
right? Assume they had all the answers.
Right.
But Aurelius reminds us that we're all just a work in progress.
We are.
We all have those internal struggles, moments of doubt, times when we feel like we're failing. But it's the trying that matters. Showing up for ourselves even when it's tough.
I like that.
And hey, maybe find a little humor along the way.
Always a good idea.
Like when you find a scorpion in your bed.
Exactly. A good reminder that life is full of surprises, both big and small. And sometimes it's embracing both that helps us find the most meaning.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And for everyone listening, we've really gone deep on Aurelius today. His philosophies, his personal life, his ups and downs.
We did.
But here's a final thought to leave you with. What do you think Aurelius would make of our world today? Our challenges, our advancements? Would he still find comfort in those same Stoic principles? Something to think about as you continue your own deep dive into the life and legacy of Marcus Aurelius.